welcome back to the Wild Rose podcast. I'm Whitney Rose.
I'm Connie Daniels.
We are so excited to have all of you here. No, I'm not going to start. It's so weird. Why am I so awkward today? I'm just having the most awkward day of my life.
Sometimes
someone asked me a question at the gym and I stared at them for like way too long before I answered. And
you know
I'm
what
like,
I think
what's
that
wrong
is?
With me?
I think that your brain is scatterbrained right now. I think that's called scatterbrain.
I'm just scatterbrained. I'm overwhelmed. But what I was trying to say is thank you to all of our new viewers and listeners. We are so happy to have you here. We love you all. And we just want you to know that we see you and we appreciate all of the downloads and the comments and all the love that we've been given.
I know. So exciting. So fun. And we do love you guys.
And today I'm going to really motivate you to go to the YouTube channel because you might know when you're best friends when you show up dressed exactly the same, wearing the same jewelry. Well, not today. You changed yours, but close. Yeah. But anyways, so Connie, I have
different pants on.
Yeah, well.
And this is kind of cream colored, not white, but really close.
Well, to me, we look the same. No, for reals though, I had something wild happen this last week.
Okay,
you ready for it? Let's bring back the wildest thing.
Yeah, wildest thing this week. What was it?
It's below freezing in Utah right now. We've been dumped on. We have so much snow, and I did a polar plunge in a lake.
Oh, how was that?
Insane.
Brain freeze?
It was completely insane. So
okay, these polar plunges have become super popular. I don't know if they have everywhere in the world, but for sure in Utah. And you did one outside.
Yeah, because it's actually a biohack and a beauty hack. It's so good for you. Mm-hmm. It's really good for your body. It like reboots your metabolism. It's good on a cellular level, and it's actually like it's like a beauty thing. That's why everyone's doing it. It's a health and beauty hack.
Yeah, I heard it kind of wakes up all your cells, and they kind of go, "Wait a minute, I need to get to work." And they just go around and scrub. You know,
it's almost like just a reset for your body. And I'll tell you, when you go all the way under, like I went under, I jumped in, like cannonballed.
Jumped in.
And I blacked out underwater. I'm so surprised I came up. So yeah.
This sounds dangerous.
I know. Well, we had like a security, water security team there. And they were in like these huge bubble suits.
Ready to jump in after you?
But no, you see all over Instagram, TikTok, people are buying these plunge pools. They have them in all this beauty spas and wellness centers. But I had an opportunity to do it in a lake. And
oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
You walked out to the middle of the lake and there was a square cut through the ice. And the ice was like as thick as probably my body, like as tall as me. Is how thick the hole was. Yeah, it was really thick. I don't know how freezing the water was, but it was so freaking cold. And I decided if I'm going to do it, I'm going to jump all the way in. So I jumped into the water all the way and came back up and then had to swim to get out.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy because I know most people that do it, they just kind of jump into a tub, but they just go up to their, chest and not jumping all the way.
Yeah, well, and at least in a tub, you know where the bottom is. Because I've done them in like those tubs too, but you can like hold on to the sides and like fill the bottom. Like I jumped into a lake. I don't know how deep that is.
Okay, did you ever unthaw after this? How long did that take?
So I have to...
Well, first of all, I want to know what you felt like right after you were done because I've heard that some people can feel like really rejuvenated like instantly when they come out. Is that true?
Honestly, I felt high.
Really?
Like I was so happy. I had so much adrenaline. It was like this burst of energy, an adrenaline rush.
So are you saying I should do this?
Yes. I was like, it felt amazing. But I don't remember I don't remember the moment of going underwater and coming back up. Like I really did black out.
Oh my gosh.
But I popped up on my own and swam and got out. And then it hit you. I am so cold. Because I had to walk off the lake.
Yeah, in
back
the snow.
to warmth and like get shoes and warm up. But I felt amazing. I felt like it was like a happy pill. Like I just took a happy pill and I was like, I can do anything.
That's crazy.
So empowering.
See, that would be like the opposite effect of what I think would happen in my mind. Since I've never done it, I can't attest to this, but you were attesting that you felt amazing. But I hate being cold more than anything. It makes me so ornery. So I need to try this and see if I have the same effect.
Well, I think when you're jumping into a lake versus like a tub, it's like you have to force yourself to get in it and like sink down, and then they submerge you like step by step. This is like just rip off the Band-Aid all in.
Yeah. So you didn't stand for a certain amount of time.
I don't know.
Like you do in the tubs. I think the tub's like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's different than that. But I think this is much colder than the tubs.
Well, I'm putting your head under.
Yeah, and it's, I think, a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either.
But
wow,
yeah,
you felt amazing.
I felt amazing. And then I didn't realize that my feet went numb until... But I don't think that was from the polar plunge. I think I was walking back in the snow without shoes on.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because my feet, like on my drive home, just started burning and tingling.
As they were coming back to life a little.
Yeah. And my feet felt weird for like a solid 10 hours.
Dang,
but
girl.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
My new beauty hack.
Okay, how often are you going to do this if it's part of the routine?
Apparently, Justin just bought a plunge pool.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So
to keep at the house?
Yeah, to keep at the house.
Now I have no excuse, you guys. Oh. She's going to have one right here. We might do it on the podcast. So if you do get on our YouTube channel, you might see us do it.
Yes. And it's like really good if you work out. It's good for your muscles. It's good for all the systems in your body. I don't know. Google that shit up and see what it says, because I read about it and I was like, I'm doing this often.
That's awesome.
And after high heels, like, do you ever just soak your feet in the tub with Epsom salt?
No,
and then,
but
like,
I should.
Cold water after?
I should. Well, you're in heels a lot more than I am, and like high heels. I'm at that age that my heels are getting shorter and shorter.
Well, it was. I would do it again. And I honestly,
well, it sounds like you're going to do it again because your husband bought a plunge pool.
Yeah, but the nice thing about having the plunge pool is we'll be able to get in my hot tub after.
Yeah,
because
or your sauna.
Yeah, or the sauna.
Yeah,
but it's good to go from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold. But this time I just went from freezing to frozen to freezing.
Wow. So our chiropractor over at Recoup, Dr. John, he told us that they bought their cold plunge pool, so he was trying to already talk me into this. So now that you've done it, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm really scared.
I will come and hold your hand.
You will?
I'll do it with you, yes.
Calm my breath. Okay.
Yes, but today we have a really, really interesting and dynamic guest. Another badass woman from the Bravo universe.
Ooh.
She is actually on Below Deck Mediterranean, and she has such a cool story. She's now a mother. I'm going to let her tell her own story. But after the break, we have Hannah Ferrier from Below Deck Mediterranean. Connie, did you know that it's National Nutrition Month?
I did not know that. As healthy as we are.
I love that there's a whole month dedicated to nutrition because that is such an important part of our life. HelloFresh makes it easy to choose delicious, dietitian-approved meals. They even have a tag on their menu labeled Dietitian Win, with choices for meals under 700 calories and with 1/3 less sodium.
HelloFresh makes it easy to eat what you love. Customize select meals by swapping proteins or sides, or even adding protein to a veggie dish. And now you can even upgrade for organic chicken or organic beef on select meals.
I love that. I love that they have the organic option because that is something that I'm trying to implement in my home right now. I love HelloFresh because at the end of a busy day, the last thing I want to worry about is putting together a meal, a menu. Oftentimes I don't have time to go to the grocery store. So I love that it's all delivered to my house and everything I need is right there, and it's mindless, it's easy, and it's healthy. And I love that my kids are getting an organic, healthy meal. Mom win.
Actually, last week I made something I've never made before and never would think to put together. It was these little sausage roll things that my family loved.
Yum. Seriously, we love HelloFresh so much. It is our favorite meal kit company. The food is yummy. The recipes are delicious. It's so easy. And we love it so much that we have an amazing offer for you. This month, you get 60% off plus free shipping. So go to HelloFresh.com/WildRose60 and use code WildRose60 for 60% off plus free shipping.
That's HelloFresh.com/WildRose60 and use code WildRose60 for 60% off plus free shipping.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
How are you guys?
So well, Hannah, how are you? It's so nice to meet you.
Yes.
It's so
We've
nice
loved
to
watching
meet
you on
too.
TV, so meeting you today is amazing.
It is. So
I
good
feel
to see
exactly
you.
the same. So nice to see you guys too. You guys look gorgeous, by the way. You're matching. We're all actually matching.
Oh,
Little white tops.
we are.
Same vibes. Blonde hair, white tops, same microphone.
I know. I just need to be over there with you guys so that we can have a cocktail because it's like 9 o'clock in the morning here, and apparently that's, it's frowned upon.
Is it? Even in Australia, I heard Australians can really take them down over there.
Oh, yes.
What about
I
like a
know.
mimosa, or I don't know, do you call them Bloody Marys or do you call them Caesars?
We call them Bloody Marys over here, but I don't like tomatoes, so I've never gotten into that. I'm a mimosa girl myself.
I want to know about what made you want to do Below Deck? Because you were a Bravo fan before, so we kind of have the same story.
Yeah. So because I was living in France at the time, we don't get any kind of Bravo shows over there. And this was I think it was 2015. So you didn't have the peacocks to log in and stream shows and things like that. It was genuinely, for me, it was more like, this will be an interesting way to finish my yachting career. Because I never wanted to do work on boats long term. I was supposed to do it for 2 years and it was 6 years later. And then I kind of went okay, this will be an interesting experience. I'll do one season and then I'll go home and settle down. And then, 5 years later, I was still doing it. So, but it was definitely not I don't even really think that I put the two and two together, that it was oh, this is Bravo, because I'm not American. So I don't even think back then, because we watched Bravo shows on our version of cable, that channel's called Arena. So an Arena didn't have Below Deck on it back then. So I didn't even put it together that it was the same network as Housewives. So it was definitely not a well thought out plan. It was I think when I was interviewing, I was literally, me and my girlfriends had the summer off and we were island hopping around the Greek islands, and I would forget I had an interview with Bravo and they'd message me being hey, we're all waiting for you. And I'd be drunk at a beach club. I'm okay, I'm coming.
Oh, no.
So,
Hey, you still got hired.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they probably loved it. That was probably why I got hired.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Exactly.
I think one of the biggest things that I kind of struggled with during my time on Below Deck was the captain that I was working with really wanted perfection from her crew. And I guess because, after a season or two, you're that's not what we're doing here. If everyone is perfect and everything goes smoothly and everyone does their job perfectly, there is no TV show. So you kind of need to fuck up and you need to make mistakes and you need to get really stressed out, because that's what's interesting television,
So on that note, a question I get asked a lot is the drama real or is it scripted? So, and I'm always no, this is our real reactions. This is real situations. But so to your point of with it being a crew living on a boat, and normally you would want to do your job perfectly, but that aspect of being a TV show, how much of it is kind of set up, if you will?
So the thing that they do with Below Deck is the way the show is kind of set up at the start is it's kind of set up for failure. So in a normal charter season, you would do say 3 boss trips and 3 charters over 6 months. And with Below Deck, because they're constantly changing the guests, it's like every 2 days. So you do 9 charters in 6 weeks. So in terms of whether it's scripted or they tell you what to do, absolutely not. But you would never be in that situation on a normal boat. Your charters would be 1-2 weeks. So you get to know the guests, you get into a routine, like you have all of that. So it's kind of set up so that there is more drama than on a normal boat, but it's definitely not scripted in any way.
Yeah, sounds like there's no time to even cue you guys and script it, you know?
There's really not. And especially like, you know, say for example, what we would do with the guests in 2 days, you would normally do that over a week. So it would be like, okay, Mondays to chill. Tuesday we'll do like a beach picnic. Tuesday night they're going to go off to dinner in a restaurant. And then Thursday night they're having like a big birthday party and then they get off on Saturday. Whereas this is like, guests come on, beach picnic that day, an 80s party that night. Next morning we're doing an Olympics, and it's just all one after the other condensed.
Yeah. It actually speaks to how well you all do your jobs, because from watching, it seems like the fact that you're pulling it off and doing it, like that speaks to how like badass you all are. Like, especially you, as you're Chief Stew, right?
Yeah.
Chief, how do you say it? Chief Stew?
Chief Stew, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well is it's like there's entire, obviously like as well with Below Deck, we have like, they have 43 minutes basically to show 2.5 days of footage. So we could do like an entire theme night that never gets aired because nothing happened. Yeah. So it's like they could air the dinner and the guests going to bed, when in actuality, the guests had like a massive like Moulin Rouge theme night, but nothing really happened. So they've got to cut it because there's only so many minutes in an episode. So I think that's sometimes what viewers forget.
Got cut.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was surprised how much got cut. Well, the whole group that I went with, we were anticipating this show to air for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months or something before it came out. And, you know, we knew all of the things that happened. So we were like, well, first of all, we were scared because we forgot we were mic'd of what could come out, what could be aired. So we were kind of freaking out, like our parents are going to watch this, you know, but how they, you know, because you don't have any control over how they edit you either. So it was kind of funny. We ended up getting like a pretty good edit, I felt like, and everybody kind of freaked out for nothing because, you know, but because they did cut so much of it.
Yeah. And I think as well, the one thing that I used to say to guests is like a lot of them especially used to come to me because I'd done the show for so many years. And I was always quite like natural with the guests. So they would always come to me the next morning and they're like, oh my God, what did I say? What did I do? I've had a blackout. I don't remember this and rah, rah, rah. And it's like, look, the show is not based around the guests. Like it's almost like you need the guests for the show to work, but the show isn't about the guests. They're not trying to trip over, like they're not trying to get you guys to trip over, or they're not trying to like manipulate you to say things so that like it's, you know, it's the show's about the crew.
That's what I had to keep reminding my friends, because being kind of like having a front row seat to Real Housewives, I'm like, it's about these women, but this show, from what I've seen, is not about us, you guys. So don't freak out, because it's about the crew. Like, we'll be on it. Yeah. And they might show a thing here or there, but everyone was freaking out thinking the show was going to be about us. And I'm like, no, it really isn't. And like you said, it takes guests to make the show happen, but it's really about the crew and all the stuff that goes on below deck that we don't see as guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time the guests really get involved is like if a crew member makes out with them or something like that. That's the only time.
Which we were hoping that my friend would do, but she recently got a boyfriend right before the show, so she couldn't do it.
That's a pity. That's always a good story.
Well, and it was Captain Lee, and he's married, so it probably wouldn't have happened either way. So.
But
you'd be wanting her to.
I guess the other crew.
You'd be wanting her to make out with one of the hot young deckhands anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know. Well, all of my gay friends that went with us, they definitely had their eyes on all of the deckhands. They were pretty hot too.
Yeah. So you had the first bit with Captain Lee and not Sandy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
so
We
lovely.
I mean, I don't want to say lucked out, but we were really fortunate to have some time with Captain Lee before he was done. So
Yeah. No, I know.
yeah, it
And
was fun.
I've heard rumors that he's not coming back this season, which would be so sad.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, it won't be the same without him. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah, I actually got to sit next to him at BravoCon during one of the Watch Weapons Live.
Yeah.
And he is so sweet, like the sweetest. I had like my hair kept getting stuck in my eyelashes, and so he like reached over and fixed it for me. It was like just the sweetest man.
Yeah. No, he
But
really is.
Captain, I do like have to give a shout out to Captain Sandy because I love a female captain. That's super empowering to me.
Yeah.
The fact that they can maneuver a boat like that. Because we had a boat together and it was a nightmare, like just a ski boat.
Yeah,
us
it was
trying
like 25 foot.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's
it was
enough
like-
for me.
That's a
Yes,
lot. We
that's-
barely drove it ourselves
Like-
anyway.
Yep. I got good at putting it on the trailer, and Connie got good at backing the trailer in to the water. That was
You
it.
guys sound like you had it sorted.
Yeah,
I
but it
mean-
was no yacht.
It was not a yacht. Do you miss it? Do you miss the show? Do you miss being a part of all of that?
I think I'm actually good because I'm still doing things in Australia, like with television, with media, and I think Below Deck, it really has like a time frame that you can do it. Like I still watch it. And I feel like if I tried to do it now, being a mom, I'm too exhausted already. Like you have to, I think sometimes people don't realize as well that like you're sometimes doing like 18, 19 hours a day without a break. You're running up and down stairs. You're carrying heavy stuff. It's so physical. And I'm like, I'm 37 this year, and that like is not old, but it's old enough that my body is starting to go like, oh, you had 5 wines last night? That's cute. I'm going to fuck you up for the next 2 days, you know?
Yeah.
We feel you.
We know how that feels
Yeah.
for sure. And it would be really hard to leave your babies too, right?
Yeah.
Is your child too?
Yeah.
That would be so hard to leave at that amount of time. Too.
Yeah.
I know parents do it often, but it would be hard for me to take that much time
because
away.
I actually went and filmed a show in the Mediterranean last summer. And I was gone 3.5 weeks from her, which is obviously half the time that I would have been gone if I did Below Deck. And even that was really difficult. But I also had the time because I was hosting a show. I could like go back and FaceTime with her for an hour, and I could, you know, speak to her every day. And I wasn't like in a situation where I was mic'd all the time or there was no stress. So I think that made it a lot easier. Whereas I even remember filming season 5, I was just very cautious because I had my partner at home. And like, you know, when you meet like your person, I think we'd been together like 18 months, but I knew he was the one that I'd have kids with and I'd marry. And so I was very protective over our relationship. So even when we would go out and things like that, I was like, I don't want it to look like I'm flirting with a guy. I don't want it to look like I'm, you know, on the dance floor getting dirty with someone, because like my most important thing now in life is my relationship at home. So I probably came across like super boring in the last season I filmed, but it was just because I was like very protective to make sure that when the show aired that there was nothing that my partner would look at and find disrespectful.
That's so sweet and like very respectful of you too.
Yeah.
Very considerate.
Well-
I've learned the hard way that you have to consider everyone in your life when you are on reality TV.
Yeah. And I don't think I could do what you do. I really don't, because for me, it was work, you know? You're filming me at work. And it's even funny now sometimes when I meet fans and things like that, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so nice, or you're so sweet. Or even when I interview housewives, they're like, oh, you're not really what I pictured you to be like. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm at work. and I'm a boss and I have like responsibilities. So if somebody's not doing their job, I have to come down on them because I'm at work. Whereas like, I don't need to share my personal life. I don't need to bring my family into it, bring my child into it, bring my husband into it. And that's opening yourself in a very real way. I just had to kind of be myself in my work persona personality, as opposed to open up my real life to viewers. And I think that's why even with trolls and critics and things like that, I'm like, yeah, you can call me a bitch. You can say I'm this, you can say I'm that, because yeah, maybe I am a bitch sometimes at work, but you guys actually don't know my personal life and how I am with my family and my friends and my husband. So I don't actually care if you judge me for how I am at work, because that's okay. But for you guys, you open yourself up, you open your home, your husband,
Yeah.
your personal trauma. Like, you had such a deep and personal storyline this season. And I shouldn't even call it a storyline, but you spoke about like real deep trauma that had happened in your life. And I personally cannot imagine having people come for me online about things that are that personal and that ingrained and that deep in my real core of a human being, Sorry, as you can tell, I actually feel really passionately about this, because I think that what you guys do is on a completely different level than what I did with Below Deck,
Well, I really appreciate that. It means so much coming from you, because I don't think people really grasp how vulnerable we really are. Like, and some people aren't as vulnerable as others, but this last season, season 3, that was so difficult. I've shared on my podcast, but I wasn't planning on talking about it. Cameras were waiting for me to do a get ready for bed scene with my family. So like the nighttime routine.
Yeah.
And I had taken a very hard phone call with a family member. And I came down the stairs. I was actually in the fetal position in my bathroom for 2 hours. And I was like, I can't film today. Like, go away. And they just kind of waited for me. And they caught that moment as it was happening.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really even planning on sharing what was going on in my life. But I don't think there was any way to hide it. Like, because it was so real. And when you're working through trauma, it has to come out. And so I really appreciate that, because you have all these people who love to give their opinions about it, criticize you, question you, tell you how you should be or shouldn't be. But the hardest part is when the people that you work with, or your castmates, your friends and family, when they aren't there for you and you're trying to show up and still like show up authentically, show up to work. Because Housewives, it is our real life, but it's still a job.
Yeah.
Right? I still have to show up. I have to be there. I'm committed to it. That was the hardest part. And I don't think I got a lot of respect for that looking back, but it made me so much stronger.
Yeah.
Like, I am not the same person I was 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And I like who I am better now.
That's amazing. Well, I'm a big believer in working through personal trauma. And I think that it's really, really hard. But when you come out the other side, you are a better human. You're a better wife. You're a better mother. You're a better friend.
You said that you're a big, like, you believe in working through trauma. Are you a spiritual person? Like, what do you do like for your mental wellness or spiritual wellness, however you look at it? That's something that Connie and I both have in common, and we actively practice and talk a lot about on our podcast, is like mental health and spiritual wellness, however you want to call it. So like, what do you do?
So I think
to stay well?
Yeah, the one thing that I am is very self-aware. So I am, I'm one of those people that I know most of the people that meet me, it's very much a like, you either love me or hate me. I'm that kind of person. But the one thing that I will always stand by is I make mistakes. I don't have a filter. I say things I shouldn't say, but I know that at my core, I'm a good person. And that kind of pushes me through no matter what I'm doing in my life. I try and stand up for what I believe is right. I can be like really hard, but like even yesterday when I was driving home from the doctor's, I was like, I came around a corner and there was something in the middle of the road and I looked and it was this big lizard and I swerved, but he ran and I ran over him and I had to pull over because I was bawling my eyes out. And it was just like, just the thought of harming something that had done nothing wrong, like actually really made my heart break. So
I'm so sorry that happened.
No, that's okay. I will get over it. But even this morning when I drove past, I was like, don't look, don't look, don't look. But I just feel like I'm not personally religious. I wasn't brought up in a religious way. I feel like America is very different. I feel like America is a lot more religious than Australia, like as a country. So I personally don't personally believe in God. I don't have any problem with people who do. I don't have any problem with people who believe in any kind of God that they want to believe in. The only thing I say is like, don't be a bad person and then go and repent or pray and just go like, oh, cool, well, I prayed, so it's all good. Like I can be a shitty person as long as like at the end of the day, I pray to God because he forgives all. It's like, to me, I believe that if God is what a lot of, Bibles or whatever you look at, if he is a good person, then he would look at someone like me and go like, she wasn't raised religiously. I was very strong in my beliefs of atheism when I was young because I watched my 10-year-old brother die when I was a little girl. So that, to me, I couldn't understand why, if there was a God and he kind of chose everything, then why would he like kill my brother, And so that's always been in my head from when I was a little girl. And it's like, if you are an understanding God, then you would say, hey, let me look at the circumstances of her life. And I understand maybe why this young girl didn't believe in me because of the circumstances she had in her life. But she's gone through her life and she's helped people and she's kind and she's made good decisions and she's been a good mother and she's always tried to do the best for the people around her. So I'm an understanding God and I would understand that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I know, and you're right. I never thought of like America being more religious. For us here, religion in our culture is really big, but so we feel like now that we're not, Whitney and I are not religious, but we're still very spiritual, like connected to our soul in a way that we are mindful of, like you say, you're mindful every single day of the things that you do and what you say and how you treat people. And that's how you stay connected to that piece of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing,
and that's important.
We've seen, in history, very religious people do very bad things. And we've seen very non-religious people do very bad things. So I personally just believe in waking up every morning and doing the best that you can for yourself and the people around you and just showing kindness. Like my mom said the other day, like I was coming out of a meeting and she was in the car and there was this little old lady and she was really struggling and it was raining. So I said to mom, I'm like, just wait a sec. So I got out and I took her up and took her to her appointment and things like that. And I got in the car and my mom was just like, I'm so happy that I raised a kind woman. Like the fact that you're now drenched, but you don't care about that because you saw somebody needed a hand and you went and did it without a second thought. She's like, that makes me happy and proud as a mother,
For sure. For sure. It's like she knew watching you do something like that, she did a good job with you.
Yeah.
Because she can see those things come out in you now. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's something that I always am starting to notice because my kids are now 12 and 10. And, when you're at home and, you're in the comfort of your own home, kids are different with us than they are in public, right?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite one of my favorite things is when someone will tell me like, your child is so sweet, or they have good manners, they're so kind. You know, I love when other parents give me feedback about my kids' behavior, because I'm like, oh, I guess it is working. Like something's working, because
you're like,
sometimes
they
it
don't do
just
that
feels
at home,
like pure
but-
chaos. Yeah. But when they leave the house, they do it. So it's great.
Yeah. No, I know my little girl, she's only 2 years old, but I can already see little things coming out. Like the other day we were waiting for food in the mall, and she stood on my foot and I went, ow. And she got down on her hands and knees and kissed my feet.
Oh, sweet.
Because I
So
always kiss
sweet.
her wherever like she's hurt. And so in her mind, she's like, oh, that's what you do. I'm like, firstly, this looks really strange if a stranger's watching. Like, I've got my 2-year-old kissing my feet. But secondly, like, my heart's melting because that's her showing empathy, you know?
For sure, that's sweet.
She's kissing you better.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she's also doing some really funny things. So we are toilet training at the moment. And she's yet to do a number 2 in the toilet. So I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm really worried because like she's holding it in when she's got her undies on, and then she's waiting till she has her nighttime nappy. And then this weekend she started, but not in the toilet, just on random patches of grass. Because she watches
At least it's outside.
yeah, she watches our dog, so she thinks that's where you do poos. So we were like,
Okay, that's hilarious.
down at my mum's place, and she like just walked off, and like my mum lives on a little island. There's no cars, like there's hardly any people, so it's very safe. And she walked off, and I was like, what's she bending over? And I'm like, then why is her undies down? And she came, she's like, mommy, come. And she was like obsessed with this piece of poo that she'd done.
Oh, I love
so proud. She took my husband, she took my mom. When I threw it away, she started crying. It was just like,
She wanted to keep it.
yeah. I was like,
Listen, the concept of like, if you think about it from this little kid, this little tiny human being, the concept of like sitting on an empty space that like sucks to somewhere, right? Or nowhere.
yeah.
Like that's a scary concept.
It is. And especially like I never thought about it before, but I'm like the difference between like wheeze and poos is so different for them because like it's just a very different thing that we don't think about as adults because it's so normal for us.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, bless you for being at that stage, because now I'm recalling it was years and years ago. My kids are older now, 21 and 19. So it was a long time ago, but I remember how difficult and challenging that was. But what I remember the most is when I just was like, you know what, they're going to do it when they're going to do it. And I just took the pressure off. I mean, my son was almost 3 before he was fully potty trained. But then it was like they did. Once they decide it or once they figure it out, they'll just do it.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of moms and dads like get really pressured, like, oh, they're 2 years old, they need to be potty, you know, and it's like, no, when they figure it out, you don't have to push it.
Yeah.
Like, and they will.
Yeah.
I actually saw the craziest thing the other day. So I live on a man-made lake. So we have a walking path around the lake.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of families in the neighborhood. And there was a man pushing a stroller. And he had a double stroller. So he had 2 children. And I'm like, is that a toilet on top of the stroller? I'm like, they are that committed to potty training that they had one of those little mini toilets. Have you seen those?
Yeah, like
Do
the
they
little
have those
potties.
in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, the little potties. They had the little potty at the park and on their
no.
walk. And I was like, well, wait, are they going to just like, if the child says they have to go, are they just going to pop it down on the path and have the child go potty in front of everyone? Like, what is
Sounds
actually
like it.
happening here?
Oh my
I went and got
God.
my husband and I was like, Justin, look at that. They are dedicated.
Well,
know.
you
It's
should,
a big deal, though.
if you see him again, just be like, look, my friend Hannah has some advice for you. Just let them go in the grass. It's fine.
Like
Yes.
like the dogs.
Yeah.
the hard thing is we have 2 feet of snow outside.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
I mean, but I will let them know. Just, it's probably less traumatizing for them to just go in the snow than sit on a potty in front of everyone.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I
funny.
that's why I did toilet training now, because we're coming into winter here. And I was like, you best believe I am not taking off all those layers every time she has an accident. So the first weekend she just lived in a pair of undies. And so whenever she had an accident, just changed the undies, washed her off with the hose, done. But you can't do that in winter.
Yeah. Perfect.
Now you've got Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip coming up.
Yes, it comes out on March 23rd.
How
So soon.
So I have to ask you, obviously you're so used to filming with the same people on Salt Lake. And Salt Lake is kind of one of the housewife franchises that don't really shake up a lot of their cast every year. So it must have been really different filming with a completely different cast. How was that?
I actually loved it.
Yeah?
I was really nervous about how it would be, but I found it to be easier.
Okay.
I found it to be easier to dive into deeper conversations, get to know each other. And when there was a conflict, it was easier to work through it because you didn't have like all of this background history attached to it.
Yeah.
So it's like in the situation, you're like, you're being a bitch. Well, you're being a bitch. But it's like we don't really have all of this like history, so you move through it faster.
Yeah.
So I actually found it to be really amazing and fun.
Yeah.
And it was easier.
Yeah. And where were you in Thailand? Because I've been going to Thailand now since I was 17, so nearly 20 years, and I go every single year. I'm going April 1st. I went there for my honeymoon. I'm obsessed with Thailand. So where did you go?
We were in Phuket.
Okay.
So I don't know. That was my first time going, and I am obsessed. I can't wait to take my family back.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
And me.
And Connie. Connie and the family. Like Thailand is like stunning, and I love the culture. I loved everything about it. But I don't have a grasp for like the geography or the lay of the land, if you will.
Yeah.
But we stayed in a incredible home on one side of the island. I don't know which side it was, but it was Phuket.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the activities we did were in and around Phuket.
Yeah. So I normally go to an island called Koh Samui. Back when I started going there 20 years ago, it was like really like not at all developed, and it's a lot more now. But I've actually decided this time to go to Phuket because it's the only place that you can go to, well, the only island that has a direct flight from Sydney. And traveling with a 2-year-old, I'm like, we don't need stopovers.
No.
No.
How long of a flight is that for you?
I think it's 9 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, but like everywhere
That's
is
not
like
bad.
9-10 hours from Sydney. It's
Yes.
like,
So are you in Sydney?
yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. It's honestly such a fun city. And I try and get my friends from America to come over, and they're always like, it's so far. And I'm like, do you remember when I was filming Below Deck? We would do every single season, I would have to go to LA 6 times for pickups and to New York minimum of 2 times, once for Watch What Happens Live and once for the reunion. And I will never forget, I landed from LA and I was in the car on the way home, and I opened my email, and there's an email going like, oh, hey, Hannah, we need you in Chicago on Tuesday for the Steve Harvey show. I was like, guys, it's Friday. I've just landed from LA, and you want me to then fly back to LA and then fly from LA to Chicago to be there on Tuesday? Are you serious? Like, can someone get organized?
Did you do it
please?
though?
I did it, of course, but I think
But yeah, I know, but you're like, why couldn't you have booked me while I was already there?
Right.
yeah, exactly.
So you did all of your pickups in LA? That is intense.
Yeah.
So we would shoot
Wow.
pickups like after every charter. While we were filming, but like obviously it was so hard because we were exhausted. We'd been out the night before. Like sometimes I just used to sit there and I was like, I have nothing to say. They're like, what about when the charter guest did this? I'm like, I don't care. They're like, okay, let's grab her another day.
No energy left. Well, they just had World Pride in Sydney.
Yes, and I've only just
a bunch of our
recovered.
friends were out there.
This was another
You just
one.
recovered?
Yeah. So this was another one that really made me see that, like, I just can't do it like I used to. Like, I hosted a party with Nova, which is our big radio station, on a yacht on Thursday night. And I was like, you have like a barbecue at your daughter's daycare tomorrow. Like, make sure that you don't drink too much. And I really didn't. Like, we had like a few champagnes on the yacht, and then we went to the after party. And I think between like 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., I maybe had like 3 margaritas. So like not even one an hour. And the next day I could hardly move. I was like, what happened? I used to drink like 10 times that and then get up at 7 a.m. and look after a yacht all day. It's just shit hits differently at 36.
Things are changing.
It just hits different.
You know what we do now? We do IVs.
Yes.
We get IVs. Actually, before you go out, it's a little easier than chasing the hangover after.
I did that before my wedding. Yeah. It was.
Oh, yeah. It helps.
Yeah. How much are they in America, though?
How what?
How much are they? Like how?
It depends on if you go into a place or you have them come to you, which a lot of people will just have them come to you wherever you're at. And then they charge you a little fee depending on where you're at. But I don't know. I think like around $160.
Yeah, because they're like $300 in Australia. So you kind of go like, can I really justify that?
Right. You're like, I'll just chug a bunch of liquid IVs.
Yeah, I'll just do hydrolytes.
Yes, exactly.
I know.
But you do have to start planning like your nights out, because it just hits different. But I do think it is sleep deprivation too.
Yeah.
Like after you become a mom, I don't know about you, but I just haven't slept the same since I've been a mom, and my kids are older now, but it's just like the body's just different.
Yeah.
I feel stronger in a lot of ways, but in some ways I'm like never caught up on my sleep.
Yeah. Well, I feel like as well for me, like the weekend before we had Mardi Gras, so the actual parade, and then this weekend we had the closing parties. But I just kind of went like, I did like an event on the Thursday night, and then I was like, you know what? I'm good, because I know what will happen. Like, I will have to start getting ready at 2 p.m. for this event on like Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. And then all of Sunday I'll be written off. And that's like a full weekend away from my little girl. And she's just at the age where she's growing up so fast. She loves the amount of satisfaction I get from like spending a day with her at the beach and then putting the sprinkler on and watching a cute little butt run around. Like, it's just that gives me so much more happiness and fulfillment than a night out at some fancy event. And I go, there's so much more time in the future when she's a bit older and she's not going through these really quick milestones that I can do that. But for now, it's like Thursday night, I was like, Josh is at work on Friday and Ava's in daycare. So if I spend the whole day ordering Uber Eats and watching season 2 of Sex Life, that's fine, because there's no one around anyway. But on the weekends, I kind of really like to concentrate on my family right now.
This is the time. And it really, everyone says it, but it's so true. It goes by so quickly. You need to soak it all in, because I feel like my kids were 2 just yesterday.
We were just looking at pictures of them the other day, and we went down the picture rabbit hole of, I miss this time.
Yeah. And that's really
The days are long, but
that's really how I feel, is like there is just so long in my life to go to bougie events and drink champagne with a bunch of media people, but she's only going to be this little once. And even if we do have a second, we're not going to be able to give the second all the like one-on-one time that we've given Ava, because we'll have to be looking after both of them. So even just like sitting on Sunday afternoon, we opened like a really nice bottle of wine and we put the sprinkler on and we played bubbles. And it was like, I wouldn't be able to do this if I was out last night. And it just makes me go like, I really genuinely feel like I do make the right decisions when it comes to things like that, because she'll just never be this little again. And, like you said, you can't get the time back.
Yep. You'll never regret those times with her. Not one of them.
No.
And she's very lucky that she has you as a mom and that she's your priority. Like she's a very lucky little girl.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm a very, very, very lucky woman to have her as my daughter. So we're both kind of obsessed with each other, which is really cute.
Oh, yes. That's how it should be. Mom and daughter. It's your little bestie, your little mini me, your ride or die for life.
Yeah.
And just trust me, because everyone told me that the teenage years things shift, but they always come back to you. And my daughter turns 13 in next month.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see a little glimpse of that teenage.
They need their independence,
Yes.
which means
Yeah.
they need it away from you too.
Yeah, so it's been pretty hard on me, but she at the same time still wants to be just like me. So I'm trying to like soak it in while I can, but just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And take as many videos and pictures as you can.
No,
Because
know.
Do you find even when you're with her, if she's in her bed sleeping, do you still just look at pictures of her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I was away for work, I would like go back after filming and I would like open a glass of wine and sit on the balcony and I'm like, okay, I'll just look at one. And then it was like 2 hours and half a bottle of wine later. I'm like, you're still just looking at pictures of your daughter.
That's cute. I do that with my dogs now. Pictures of my dogs.
You're like, I've moved on from the kids.
Yeah, I've moved on. My kids, I've done that.
So, Hannah, I do have a question for you because you are obviously stunning and gorgeous and just so beautiful. So I love to always ask, like, what is your like beauty routine? Like, what is the one thing you can't live without, or your, what do we call them? Like beauty hacks. Like, what is your, like for me, I have to moisturize and I have to have water. Like, that's it. I have to have my moisturizer, water. So what is your go-to like beauty product or beauty thing that you do?
So I genuinely believe
because your skin is stunning.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? Like I smoked all of my 20s and I smoked like a French person because I lived in France where you just sit there and like smoke. And I'm like, now I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. But I was living in Europe. And the one thing that I have always done throughout my life is water and sunscreen. And I don't quite know. I should look like an old leather handbag with how much time I've spent in the sun and all the partying I did and the disgusting smoking. But somehow I didn't. And I swear it's because I drink so this is like 750. I'll drink like 6 or 7 of these a day. So like 5 liters of water a day. But I always have. So my body's so used to it. And I'm obsessed with always, always, always taking my makeup off. I can like not remember coming home and I'm like, oh, your retinol's out, your eye cream's out. Good girl. You took your lashes off and you're cleansed. And I think it's like just looking after your skin. And I feel like the most important thing with skincare is consistency. Because I feel like sometimes people get like a new product or something and then when it's finished, they're like, oh, that's okay. And it's like, no, because your skin has gotten used to, the serums or the eye creams or the face masks or drinking that much water that now it's actually worse than if you hadn't done it in the first place. So I'm like you. I moisturize like 4 or 5 times a day.
I'm so proud of you. And I'm so proud that you take your makeup off at night because it doesn't matter, like how tired I am or like if I wake up with makeup on the next morning, something was majorly wrong.
Yeah. Because your skin needs to breathe. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, it does. It needs to be able to do what it's meant to do. So
yeah. Because you've got the Wild Rose Beauty, right?
Yes, Wild Rose Beauty.
That looks
natural
amazing.
skincare.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to give that a try soon as well because I was looking on there on your Instagram and it looks amazing and your skin is fabulous. So I think if you're going to take skincare advice from anyone, it's from somebody who looks like you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
And I'll attest to that because I use all of her products and they're wonderful.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
I can't live without
do you
them now.
ship to Australia?
I can, but it's ridiculous
It's so
for
expensive,
customs and
isn't it?
duties.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm actually, that is one of the things I'm working on right now, is getting into Europe, Australia, Canada,
Okay.
so that I can ship it cheaper for my customers.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants it. It's just really hard to ship it right now because you have to pay on your end
The
higher
taxes, yeah.
customs duties. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out right now. I just got connected with an agency that can help me figure it out.
Okay.
Because I started another company and we're founded in Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm having that same problem
Okay.
right now. So that's my next business move is international shipping.
Amazing. Well, let me know when you're shipping international and I can be your first customer.
I will. And hopefully I get to hand deliver it to you in December.
Yes.
That'd be so
Seriously, if
fun.
you girls want to come to Sydney, I can literally tell you every amazing thing to do, every backstreet bar and restaurant, and obviously I will have to join you for a gossip.
Of
That's not
course.
recorded.
Yes. We would love that. Well, we've taken, I know you have precious time away from your daughter. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you.
are just
It's been amazing.
Yes. And if you can leave, I know that you are great at advice. So one last piece of advice to having a good day, anything that pops into your mind, just like a life advice that you would give people.
So I would say, like everyone, I kind of definitely have my ups and downs and things like that. But I would say even when you're having a bad day, the best thing you can do is get up, have a shower, wash your hair, pop a little bass on, go for a walk, pop a podcast on and just get moving. Because I think sometimes it's very tempting when you're feeling to just slouch and it just makes you feel worse. So get up, get moving, force yourself to smile and you'll have a better day.
I love that. That's great advice.
Such great advice.
I love it.
Yeah.
It was so
Well,
good
thank you so
chatting
much,
with you guys.
Hannah.
Thank you so much.
You as well.
It's lovely meeting you.
Okay.
Have a great day. We're going in tonight. So
Night.
have a great day.
I will. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon. And see you in December.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Bye.
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 Wasn't Hannah so fun to have on? I loved her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is definitely so fascinating and interesting to listen to, and she has great advice.
And a great accent.
Yes.
Well, everyone, I'm sad to say, is that time for us to go? But thank you, everyone, for listening, for liking and subscribing. And we will see you guys all again next week. So don't forget, be you, stay wild. Bye, everyone.
And get your HelloFresh.